Despite many affiliating the concept of a digital watch with the use of electronics, its true definition is defined as a watch that displays the time in numerical digits rather than by hands on a dial. In the industry today, many digital watches just so happen to be electronically powered quartz pieces, which can commonly be found on a display carousel at your local big box store. However, today we look at a piece that enters rarefied air, being a showcase of mechanical mastery that is arguably the greatest digital watch ever made, the A Lange Söhne Zeitwerk. In this video, we take a closer look at the date version, explain how it works, and what ultimately makes it so unique. First, a little bit of backstory on the brand. So A Lange Söhne was founded in 1845 by Ferdinand Adolf Lange in Glashütte, Germany. He received technical schooling in Dresden and later Paris before returning to Germany, establishing his own watchmaking workshop in Glashütte, and in doing so set a foundation for what would later become one of the industry's hubs of production. Throughout his career, he pioneered several innovations, including the early adoption of metric measurements in watchmaking, new tooling, and novel manufacturing methods. His timepieces were very well regarded, even gaining acclaim well beyond the country's borders. After his passing, his descendants continued his tradition of innovation and craftsmanship, but the Second World War almost erased the brand's history forever, including the destruction of its main building during the war. Ferdinand's great-grandson Walter Lange vowed to rebuild, yet his plans were put on hold for decades by the Soviet occupation of Germany. It wasn't until after Germany's reunification and the fall of the Berlin Wall in 1989 that Walter Lange was able to reintroduce his family's business to the world. He did so when Lange became part of the LMH group, joining IWC and JLC. The big unveiling culminated with 4 prototypes that were released in 1994, including the original Lange 1. And the industry quickly became impressed with the brand's thoughtful design and leadership, including industry visionary Gunter Blümlein, who was deeply involved in the brand's rebirth. In the year 2000, LMH became part of the Richemont Group, where Lange still remains to this day, serving as arguably the most impressive watches being produced in the world by a major group brand. First introduced in 2009, the Lange Zeitwerk is what's called a jumping movement watch, with the numerals printed on discs that show themselves through the dial apertures, advancing to show the current time digitally. Many prestigious brands have used these principles, but with the introduction of electronic displays in watches, it was seldom that a brand would attempt the execution using mechanical power. This made it even more surprising when Lange decided to offer its spin on a watch of the ilk as a technological marvel for the 21st century. The first 2 questions to answer with the Lange Zeitwerk date are, what exactly am I looking at, and how does this piece work? At the center of the dial, 2 windows equally oppose one another horizontally across, the opening to the wearer's left being a numerical display for the hours, and the window on the right serving as the presentation of minutes. Balancing each other vertically is the power reserve indicator below the brand logo and the running 60 seconds beneath what Lange calls its time bridge, covering most of the center dial with it being exquisitely finished in the process with a lined brushed top, angular facets surrounding the timing windows, and beveled outer edges. At the core of what makes the Zeitwerk a remarkable watch is the jumping digital display of the hours and minutes. As the time runs, each 60 seconds will see a change of at least one of the 3 discs, if not all 3 at the top of the hour. This repeated sense of anticipation doesn't get old, being one of the most visually satisfying ways to show the passing of time I can think of. Using the crown at the conventional 2 o'clock position, it allows the user to wind the movement at the first position, and at the second point, enable the changing of the time by the minute in both directions while hacking the seconds in the process. If you find yourself needing to advance the hour or date quickly, that is where the pushers come into play. First, the right pusher will advance the hour disc by 1, with this hour display also being tied to the date, so if you do shift into another day, you will see that reflected with the date. If you happen to be multiple days off, Lange has included another pusher on the left side of the case that will enable the date to move forward 1 day with a single press. You might be asking, where is the date? Well, beyond the central silver dial executed in a gray color, there is a sapphire ring at the periphery, with the numerals being listed out in a radial layout. Although it isn't that easy to see unless you know it is there will be a single numeral highlighted in red, creatively finding a balance and showcasing the information without overly cluttering the rest of the presentation. Housing all of these elements is a 44.2mm wide by 51.7mm long 18-karat white gold case, which is constructed from multiple parts including the case back, mid case, and bezel. It boasts next level brushed and polished finishing, as it should when you're flying in the upper atmosphere of high horology. The substantial lugs are soldered to the case, and once you come to grips with what's going on inside the case, 12.3 millimeters in height seems entirely reasonable, making for a watch that wears unlike almost any other given the unorthodox dial layout. In summary, I would say the Zeitwerk safely wears much smaller than its proposed diameter, more aligned to a conventional 42 millimeter watch. A 21 millimeter alligator leather strap with a white gold pin buckle signed with the Lange logo is a classic choice for an elevated dress watch of this type, this one coming in a rich dark brown color. Water resistance is of the dress watch average, 30 meters, with sapphire crystals protecting both the dial side and the movement side. As you might suspect, powering the front of the Zeitwerk date is no small task. The most considerable challenge with this design is finding the equilibrium of providing stable power to the escapement while ensuring the energy required for moving the disc in front of the watch is quick without lag. One of the most difficult battles of watch movements as you introduce complications is the sudden loss of amplitude that can occur to the balance as the reserve of energy feeding the gear train is interrupted by another call for power. In the case of the Zeitwerk, these three independently changing discs require considerable driving force, especially since the change needs to appear instantaneous with no delay in motion. The secrets for solving these problems reside within the manually winding L043.8 caliber. One of the main solutions to these concerns comes from the barrel designs, which have been reworked since the previous generation to enable a power reserve that doubles to 72 hours. This large ratchet wheel houses two barrels with independent mainsprings that are mounted on top of one another and have been redesigned to optimize their efficiency of unwinding. Secondly, this caliber calls upon a constant force mechanism. At their core, constant force mechanisms ensure a stable energy flow and counteract the effects of the gradual uncoiling of mainsprings. In other words, as a mainspring unwinds, the energy delivered can vary depending on how coiled up the spring is, which will change throughout the duration of the reserve. A constant force mechanism creates another link in the chain that will counteract these effects of the mainspring, while also assisting in reducing the loss in amplitude that would inevitably come in this instance when the timing discs are called into action. There are several types of constant force mechanisms in the industry, and this Lange employs a remontoire utilizing a pre-tension spring that will harness the energy being originally powered from the mainsprings to develop another controlled pathway of gradual distribution. The remontoire timing bridge is constructed with a linear pattern with a Y-shaped lever at its center with pallets that will gradually transfer energy down the chain as the blocking arms engage with the pallets on the Y-shaped lever slip free, delivering a stable source of power at a calculated rate. This specific motion will make for a balance wheel that will remain steady in its operation and enable consistent performance of the digital timekeeping on the front of the watch. From here, the free-sprung balance operates at the old school 18,000 vibrations per hour, or 2.5 hertz, with this caliber comprising of an astonishing 516 parts. The finishing is among the best in the industry, with perlage on the base plate, anglage on the bridges, snailing on the oversized ratchet wheel, polished screw heads, tempered blued screws to go along with them, and of course, hand engraving on the balance and escapement wheel bridges being executed by a trained artisan in glasuta. When you envision a digital watch, you probably are not imagining a piece like the Zeitwerk, more likely a sea of digital timekeepers that operate with the help of a quartz oscillator and electronically powered display. The meaning of the term digital in watchmaking has become misconstrued to mean electronically powered, partially because who in their right mind would attempt to create a mechanically powered watch offering a highly interactive digital display while having it cost $132,000? In a practical sense, these more attainable battery-powered executions are going to be the options to go for. However, fine watchmaking from Lange is not merely done based on practicality alone. Sure, there is a level of clinical precision and brilliant logic behind how these watches operate, yet it is through simplified concepts of showcasing digital time that one of the most daring expressions of mechanical creativity can take place. The Lange Zeitwerk commands a price very few watches can command. It's one of those watches that as you learn more about how it actually works, it makes the achievement of pulling it off seem more preposterous. To measure something as the greatest is open for interpretation. If we're defining greatness as questioning the status quo, exquisite finishing, authentic presentation, and not letting price be our guide, the Zeitwerk is as worthy as any to claim the title of the greatest digital watch ever made. But all right, everybody, that's all we have for this video looking at the Lange Zeitwerk date. My take on why this watch might be the greatest digital watch ever produced. I know it kind of depends on maybe where you're drawing the lines of what classifies greatness, but you have to admit, this watch is unlike anything else. If you enjoyed the breakdown of how this thing works and looking a little bit deeper into this piece, let me know in the comments down below. Please give this video a thumbs up. Really do appreciate that as well. Also, be sure to check out TeddyBaldessar.com. TeddyBaldessar.com is an authorized dealer of over 30 brands. Every watch that we sell on our website comes with quick and fast fulfillment, dedicated customer support, full factory warranty for all the products that we offer. Also, 18 hours a day, we are available on live chat. If you have any questions about the watches that we have for sale on our site, reach out to one of my team members and I'll be happy to get back to you and answer any questions that you might have. Also, how we're able to fund all of our productions here is through selling watches. So if you're on the market for a watch, we'd love to have your business. Allows us to keep doing what we're doing here. We love what we do. But guys, thank you again so much for watching. Be well, and I will see you all very soon.